There's between 500,000 and a million books published every single year. If you include into that self-published authors, you're looking at closer to 4 million, which I just think is crazy. There are some absolute hidden gems out there, and I wanted to do this video to try and shed some limelight on them books. I got a few books here during a book haul, and I'm going to read through these and hopefully shed some light on some lesser talked about books online that truly deserve some recognition. If you are new to my channel, my name's Tyrone. I'm a middle-aged man just trying to prove to my children and the wider world that reading is cool and talking about your mental health is okay. If, however, you are a returning audience, firstly, thank you, and secondly, you know I absolutely love you to pieces. Before I dive into these books, I just want to talk a little bit about books as a whole and the book industry. I think when we think about book recommendations, we often think about the popular books that are trending online. When we think romantasy, we think Rebecca Yarros and we think Sarah J. Maas. When we think fantasy books, we think Brandon Sanderson and Robin Hobb. And while those books can be amazing, they can also overshadow some truly unique and talented authors and stories. I think the problem is with so many books out there, as consumers, it's hard to sift through the amount of books that there is. I mean, I said at the start of the video that there's up to 4 million books published every single year. And although we get recommendations from friends, family, colleagues, book content creators, influencers online, even after all that, we're usually exposed to such a narrow amount of genres and authors. And that's why I'm passionate about trying to dig deeper into maybe unpopular books that aren't necessarily on everyone's radar. So the first book on the list is American Dirt by Jeanine Cummins. I bought this book a few days ago from a charity shop, and although looking on Goodreads, this book has got fantastic reviews, I'm just going to go on now and look. So I'm not going to read the reviews themselves because I want to try and go into this book as blind as possible, but it's got a 4.37 rating on Goodreads, which is crazy high, and 47,000 reviews. Now, I went onto Instagram and Googled this book to see if I could find a review. Nada. Couldn't find a thing, which to me is wild that many people have read this book and reviewed it, but I can't see one social media review. It sounds insane. So I think this is general fiction. I don't know. All these books I've tried to go different genres just so I can get a feel for different books. But the back of this book, the blurb, sounds absolutely unbelievable. It says, Lydia Perez owns a bookshop in Acapulco and is married to a fearless journalist. Luca, their 8-year-old son, completes their family. But it only takes a bullet to rip them apart. In a city in the grip of a drug cartel, friends become enemies overnight, and Lydia has no choice but to flee with Luca at her side, north of the border, whatever it takes to stay alive. The journey is dangerous, not only for them, but for those they encounter along the way. Who can be trusted, and what sacrifices is Lydia prepared to make? American Dirt shines a beam of light into the world where a mother's love for her son and kindness of strangers might just triumph. The extraordinary novel has sold over 1 million copies since publication. It's time to read what you've been missing. That sounds crazy. I don't know really what to expect. I am guessing, I think Acapulco's in Mexico, is it? I'm not very well travelled, you might have guessed. But yeah, so I'm guessing this is probably about what it's like to be an immigrant going from Mexico to America, about found family maybe, and a sense of what community can do for you. But it were £1, apart from a charity shop, and it's a book that I've not seen anywhere online. So this is one of the first books that I want to read and hopefully shed some light. Although I think out of all the books that I've got on this list, this is probably the most popular book when it comes to Goodreads reviews and ratings online. So you might say to me that this is a very popular book, but I've just personally not seen it on any of my socials online. So I'd not heard anything about this book until I picked it up, and I've literally just gone onto Goodreads Review and read it. The next book on my list is the Prison Healer series by Lynette Noni, which is categorised as young adult fantasy. I haven't even read the blurb of this book yet, but I've had a lot of recommendations from followers saying to me, please read the Prison Healer trilogy. It is just so underrated and never spoke about online. So I picked it up. It's been on my shelf for a while. I actually bought this trilogy from, I can't remember where. I bought it online a while back. But I wanted to include it in just because of the amount of people that have said to me, you've got to read it, it's underrated. I think I said this in one of my socials the other day. The best books I've ever read have always come from inbox recommendations. I don't think I've ever had a recommendation from another social media content creator where I've been like, whoa, that's blown me away. And I think one of the reasons is because, like me, sometimes you get caught in the trap of talking about trending books all the time because you know that people engage with that content. It's the content that people want to see, but they're not always the best books. However, the recommendations I get from you lot online are just non-biased. You'll read a book and you'll be like, this book is unbelievable. You need to read it. And you're telling me for no other reason other than the fact that you loved it. You're not trying to go viral. You're not trying to choose trending books. So I'm trusting you. I had stupid amounts of recommendations for this series. So I'm going to read back of it now with you. We're reading it together for the first time. Kiva Meriden is a survivor after 10 years of working as the healer in the notorious death prison Zalandov. She has only one goal, stay alive. But then the rebel queen arrives at the prison on death's door and Kiva receives a message. Don't let her die. We are coming. When the queen is sentenced to a series of impossible elemental challenges, Kiva volunteers to take her place. If she succeeds, both she and the queen will be guaranteed their freedom, but no one has ever survived. With an incurable plague sweeping Zalandov, a mysterious new inmate fighting for Kiva's heart, and a prison rebellion brewing, Kiva can't escape the terrible feeling that her trials have only just begun. That sounds very good. I'm sorry about the reading, by the way. I was that kid at school that when the teacher said, Tyrone, can you read in class, please? I was like, they went to the field. I buckle under pressure. See, trying to read to my kids at night time, I'm just like, kids are like, Dad, I thought you like reading. I'm like, I'm fine in my head. You get me to read in a public space, and I'm like, remember Bubba Shrimp from Forrest Gump? Man, he's Bubba Shrimp. That's me. Anyway, I digress. That sounds very good. I might read that. But I'm going to go through these books first, then I'll decide which one I'm going to read first. I think same as other book, we'll do a quick jump on Goodreads with this one and just see what the world's saying. Another one. 4.18 stars on Goodreads, 18,000 reviews, which that's not many really. So I don't get it. 4.18 stars, that's a wicked rating as far as I'm concerned on Goodreads. Anything over 4 stars, you're doing pretty well. But I don't see it talked about much online. So yeah, I'm going to go through all these books first, then decide which one I'm going to read first because I am in between books at the minute. I've just finished a book that I rated on one of my book clubs. And yeah, I need to pick a next one, so we'll see what's coming. Next up, we have M.W. Craven's The Puppet Show. This is a police procedural book. I got this from a charity shop. You can see this is well worn. This was probably £1. Most of the books that I get from charity shops are my local Salvation Army do 4 books for £1, which is wild. 4 books for £1. So I get loads from there. I don't really buy new books, although there is one purchased new book in here I got recently, which was from Waterstones, and that's £20. That is wild for me. I never spend that amount on books. But I did with this one. So, M.W. Craven, again, police procedural. The only police procedurals really that I've read in the past are Chris Carter. I absolutely love his Robert Hunter series. And I've read a lot of James Patterson. I've read the first book in the, I think it's called the Ross County series by Karen Slaughter as well. That was really good. M.W. Craven is just a really underspoke about police procedural author. This book, I actually googled this earlier, and it's crazy to me how little people speak about this book online. Goodreads, 4.33 stars. That's crazy. Like, you're looking at like Shakespeare level when it comes to 4.33 on Goodreads. Don't hate me for saying that. I'm obviously joking, but I'm just trying to point out there that this has got 2,467 reviews at 4.33 stars. That tells you how good this series is. So that might be the one that I go for next. Again, I just don't understand why people don't talk about the books. Hopefully, that's fantastic. And I know that's a series, so if I love that book, then I'm an habitual series starter, which is something I'm trying to work on. I'll read book 1 of a series, and then I'm like, that was insane. Let me start another series and see if that's insane as well. Which I know a lot of you completionists, that's absolutely wild. I don't know what it is. I feel like I'm missing out. I've started book 1 of Red Rising series. Loved that. Started the first book in Poppy War trilogy. The first book in... I'm just looking at my bookshelf now to see what else I've started. Lancelot and Gamora, read that one. Way of the Kings and the Stormlight Archive, read that one. I'm just crazy, but you already know that by now. Anyway, so yeah, I'm an habitual series starter and I'm trying to work on it. Next up is an author that I've never read before, Claire Douglas. I don't know much about her online. This is another charity shop find. I love me a charity shop find. It is what it is. Like, I feel like I'm just rehoming these books. The dogs that we've got, I say dogs, we lost one of our dogs last August. Miss you so much, Tia. We've still got Sky, our little Staffordshire Bull Terrier downstairs, but we always rescue dogs. We never buy from puppy farms or anything like that. And I feel the same way with books. If I can rehome books, I always will. Every now and again, I'm blessed with publishers sending me books or you followers sending me books off my wish list, and I love it. There's nothing better than the smell of a new book. However, this book's got history, hasn't it? So, Claire Douglas, The Couple at Number 9. I know nothing about this book. I haven't read the blurb. The Couple at Number 9. Dum dum dum. 5,000 reviews, or just over 5,000 reviews on Goodreads at 4.07, which I think for a thriller that's pretty cracking. So we'll read what this is about together because I haven't read the blurb. Bodies found under the patio when Safi moves into 9 Skeleton Place with boyfriend Tom and sets about renovations. The last thing she expects is workmen uncovering 2 bodies. Police investigate. Forensics indicate the bodies have been buried for 30 years, much to Safi's relief, until the police's murder investigation turns to the cottage's former owner, her grandmother, Rose. But Rose is in a care home, Alzheimer's increasingly confusing her memories, a killer at large. As the police dig ever deeper and Rose begins to remember, Safi fears she and the cottage are being watched. What happened 30 years ago? What part did her grandmother play? And is Safi now in danger? Ooh! Oi! That just sounds exciting. Although it is like 400 pages long. For me, 400 pages is a little bit long for a thriller. I like me 300 pages for a thriller. But I'm going to read it anyway because I've committed to it now, haven't I? So that's the next one. And the last one is Blood Over Brighthaven. I think I spoke about this one in a previous video. I bought it from Waterstones recently because I read A Sword of Kagan by M.L. Wang, which when I read that book, it was self-published. And I believe that M.L. Wang had not been signed at that point. This book was then released and self-published after that, and I now believe that she has been picked up by a publisher, which is why this is now in Waterstones and everything. So I saw this sexy copy, signed copy, sprayed edges. I went all in. Like with 3 kids, me spending £20 on a book is just crazy. But I was just like, kids, you're not eating this week. Dad's buying a book. So it is what it is, and I bought this solely based on the back of how good Sword of Kagan was. If you've not read that book, you need to read it. It's just insane. And I believe it was on Kindle Unlimited for free. It might still be on there. I don't know if now that she's been picked up, it might be like charged, whatever. But the back of this book just sounds insane. The first book that I read was very empowering for women. And I think this book kind of gives off similar vibes based on the blurb. For 20 years, Sconia has devoted every waking moment to the study of magic, fueled by a mad desire to achieve the impossible, to be the first woman ever admitted to the high magistracy of the University of Magics and Industry. When Sconia finally passes the qualifying exam and becomes a high mage, she finds her challenges have just begun. Her new colleagues are determined to make her feel very unwelcome, and instead of a qualified lab assistant, they give her a janitor. What neither Sconia nor her peers realise is that her taciturn assistant was not always a janitor. 10 years ago, he was a nomadic hunter who lost his family on their perilous journey from the wild plains to the city, but now he sees the opportunity to understand the forces that decimated his tribe, drove him from their homeland, and kept the privilege in power. At first, mage and outsider have a fractious relationship, but working together they uncover an ancient secret that could change the course of magic forever if it doesn't get them killed first. Holy heck! That sounds a bit good, doesn't it? And again, this one, although this is a new one, but still, it is like, I ain't seen anyone review this book yet online. So we'll have a Google, because that's what we do. 4.44 on Goodreads. Oi. This book slaps. I'm just saying, you could make a difference here. You could pick up this book, you could read it, you could review it. You could be one of these people that make this author go viral. Or you could change this author's life. How crazy is that? That's what we're trying to do here. So, that's the plan, is I I've already said I'm an habitual series starter, and that common sense would say that I start M.W. Craven's book next. But I don't know. I think I might let you lot choose. Put in comments which book you think I should start, and yeah, I'll start it. And then I might document the journey, and then come back and do another video about what I thought about all these books. Because why wouldn't I? Anyway, this has been an absolutely wicked time for me. I thought I'd do something a bit different. I hope you've enjoyed it as well. Like I said, I've just finished a book. I can't remember what it was called though. It was okay. It was. Let me just find out what it was called. One sec. I did a review of it on my Fable. This is awkward. Do you feel awkward? I don't feel awkward. The Shadow of the Wind. That's what it's called. I don't know if this flips. Does that flip? Can you see that? Am I back in focus? Oh, look at this. Whoa, whoa, go on. Oh, who's behind the camera? No one. It's a new camera. Anyway, 3.5 star I rated it. Loads of people, this is one of them books that I don't see reviewed online. And I picked this book up because everyone were like, look, it's insane. You need to read it. No one talks about it. So I went into it and I was like, I know. I'm going to read this book and I'm going to be that content creator that's like, this is a 5-star read. You're all silly. You never talk about these books because you're just trying to fit in. And I didn't really enjoy it. I was gutted because I wanted to read it and be like, whoa, this is the best book I've ever read in my entire life. Just so I could be a bit unique and different. But it just didn't hit that way for me. Now, I will say there's some beautiful writing in that book. If you've not read it and you love beautiful writing and fantastic prose and yada, 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 this is the book for you. The only reason I rated it 3.5 star, which I still think is a relatively decent review, is because it was slow. Like the first 200 pages of this book took some reading. The only thing that kept me going really were people telling me that it got very good. And also some of the lines I were like, ooh, you hit hard. But yeah, it just went for me. 3.5 stars still. I think it's a pretty decent review. So if you haven't read Shadow of the Wind, I believe it was written in Spanish and then translated into English. You probably already know about it, but anyway, yeah, go check it out. If you've watched till this point, as always, you know I love you the most. If you haven't subscribed yet, just do it because I need more mates. And I'll see you next time.